Little Switzerland, North Carolina, is a small village in the Highlands region of western North Carolina. It's a part of the Appalachian Mountain region and very isolated. During the wintertime, they actually close the village down because the road access becomes hazardous. The trip for us was a little bit over 2 hours. We decided to spend the night in Marion, North Carolina before doing the main elevation gain into the Appalachians. The elevation gain through the trip was very gradual until the very last bit, where we increased almost 3,000 feet in just a very short amount of time. The Cadillac LYRIQ has a exceedingly heavy curb weight of 5,500 pounds, or a little bit under 3 tons. Its battery is 102 kilowatt hours, which gives it a lot of range, but it's also a very heavy vehicle. So when doing major elevation gains like what this trip required, its efficiency dramatically decreases. We stopped in the town of Hickory and got ourselves a nice dinner while the Cadillac charged on a level 2 charger provided by Duke Energy. We then headed on out to finish our day's travel to Marion, North Carolina, where our hotel was waiting for us. It was an easy trip, mostly interstates, and the scenery was spectacular. The next morning, while my wife was sleeping, I took the LYRIQ to get a DC fast charge at a local car dealership. I was surprised to find a Chevrolet Blazer EV was in the lot and decided to do a quick comparison. The sticker was showing $55,000 for the RS Launch Edition. Had some credits assigned to it. This is about $10,000 less than the LYRIQ. The Blazer is a pretty sizable vehicle. There's a ton of space in the back. The roofline slopes down a little bit, but not too much. It's generally universally considered to be a very roomy vehicle. However, the LYRIQ is a larger car. So for $10,000, what do you get with the LYRIQ? You get the Cadillac branding, you get the luxury features, there's an improved sound system, and many premium engineering elements as well that make it an incredibly safe car. Nothing at all wrong with the Blazer EV, but for my money, an extra $10,000 to get at the Cadillac level was worth it. It was now time to do the main climb of the trip, which was about 2,700 feet. As you can see, most of that is at the tail end of the 20-mile trek from Marion, North Carolina to Little Switzerland, North Carolina. So there's a very steep grade climb as you enter the foothills and mountains in the Appalachian region. One of those premium features is the suspension. It's described on the Cadillac website as a 5-link multi-link suspension paired with passively frequency sensitive hydraulic dampers. But what does that really mean? I found this excerpt from a J.D. Powers review of the LYRIQ, and I think it accurately describes the experience of the LYRIQ suspension. It's a very fluid feel. I'll link this review down below in the description. Going uphill, we lost 11% of our battery in the 20 miles from the hotel to the village of Little Switzerland. When we were coming back, we gained 1%, but actually when we were coming downhill, you could see most of the downhill is in the first third of the trip back to the hotel. And we actually ended up with like +5 on the way back down, just because the gravity and the regenerative braking was charging the battery up. And then by the time we got to the hotel, it was an additional 1% of state of charge into the battery. And then at the top of the hill, we were greeted with the sights of the small hamlet of Little Switzerland, North Carolina. Little Switzerland is really nothing much to speak of. It's basically 40 residents and a very small cluster of buildings and shops. They also have a United States post office, which is their claim to fame. It's very Instagrammed. We were happy to see that there were electric vehicle chargers. So when we got there, there were two stalls available. As we were there, these started to fill up pretty quick, but we went ahead and got charging and then began exploring what the village had to offer. There's lots of curiosities. There's a book and coffee store, which was very expansive, lots of quirky things to explore. My wife and I spent the better part of 90 minutes wandering around this bookstore that seemed to just go on forever. Every time you turned around a corner, there was another very expansive area to try to uncover some treasure that you knew was waiting to be found. It was a ton of fun. Once we cleared out of the bookstore, the next place to go was the general store, and also they have a restaurant which opened up at 11 o'clock in the morning. And after having experienced what the bookstore and general store had to offer, we sat down for a light lunch and enjoyed the hospitality of our fellow travelers coming from many different locales in order to get away into the mountains for the weekend. After our lunch, it was time to head back home. We hopped in the Cadillac and proceeded to make the 2-hour trip back to Charlotte. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you very much for watching.